I should have hit record sooner than like that would have been great. That would have been great, but people never know what that conversation was now.
Oh, that's why this is not a professional outfit we're running here.
Right. Yeah, anything but professional. No, I actually though this is great because I was gonna talk to you about changing things, not drastically changing, but like so on the
Are you
YouTube.
firing me? Is that what
No, no,
this
no,
is?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Quite the opposite. Quite the
Okay.
opposite.
Oh,
Um,
really? That kind of sucks.
damn. No. So on the YouTube, on the playlist is just it's not spelled out. Chris the Mass Wrestling Pod. It's
Mhm.
KMWP 2.0 and da 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 da. So I was like, especially because I know lately you've been pretty down on the business as a whole, and everything. I was like, well, we could just change the W to whatever, and then we could still do this every week and just talk about whatever we wanted.
That's not a terrible idea either.
Uh, and some weeks the W stand for wrestling, but other weeks it might not at all.
It could be Fast and Furious.
It
Yeah.
could be. Uh, there will be just there'll be a lot of Lions talk from now until January. So just to let people know that.
If there's one thing I don't want to talk about right now, it's the Detroit freaking Lions.
uh, but anyways, yes, we're back after a couple weeks off. Yeah, had well, last week the aforementioned Lions were on Thursday Night Football, and that takes precedent over this
Yeah.
this show and pretty much everything else.
Yeah. Literally scheduling my life around the Lions games right now. It's awesome.
It's great. It's a great problem to have. Finally.
Yeah, for once. Yeah, and
Uh,
the week before I was out of town,
yeah,
so that
you
wasn't
you were
gonna work.
traveling, and
So
and honestly, that was the week that the releases happened, and like it was just like, yeah, I don't really care. I didn't really care to hop on here and try and I try to be positive, but like that would have been a tough day to be in here. Hey, how great is wrestling right now?
yeah, right,
A
right.
bunch of people just lost their jobs. So yeah, it was probably a good couple weeks to have off, but we're back. There's some big things that happened this week, I guess, depending on who you ask. Yeah. So, oh,
Let's start there. What big thing? Like, what do you think was such a big thing?
uh, the rated R superstar Adam Copeland showing up in AEW.
Yeah, okay.
That's a mouthful. Every time,
It's really bad.
every time Excalibur had to say it last night during Dynamite, I'm just like, oh, that just does not. Adding those extra few syllables does not. It just doesn't sound right.
It doesn't work.
So here's where I'm at with it. It's going to take some getting used to, because it's like I even joked with you via text earlier this week that it's like the cover band version of Edge. It's like
Yeah,
the entire Edge presentation, only it's you know
they can't say it's him.
what's in a name, and when it comes to
Yeah.
wrestling, sometimes it's quite a lot. So yeah, it's gonna take some getting. Like, I don't know if it's better or worse that he's pretty much got his full presentation besides the name coming
I
in.
mean, look, it might not make a lot of sense to. Maybe it will. It's kind of like, well, why did they make Terry Funk Chainsaw Charlie? Like, just Terry Funk was middle aged and crazy. You didn't have to give him a chainsaw to make it
That was his idea.
look okay. But you shoot it down because it's like you're Terry Funk, right? Like everyone who watches wrestling is going to look at you. They know who you are. They know what you're about. We don't have to change it up at all at this point. if AEW is all you've ever watched, and for some reason you don't know who Edge is, ask somebody.
Yeah.
It's not that really hard. It's not like he's overly complicated either.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing that I'm more bothered by is like it's another one of these we're going to have to wait for what we really want, and I think what I really want is Edge and Christian back together. I
Yeah.
don't want to go through this. And it sucks though because Christian is in the middle of what a lot of people are saying is his best run. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but when he's out there, he's doing what he's supposed to, and he's doing it better than almost anybody in the business. So, like, I can see not wanting to cool that off right now.
Right.
Too.
It's one of those where the timing just sucks. Because I ideally, I mean, honestly, he can talk about all the singles matches he wants to have. That's great. But if he's here in AEW in the same company as Christian, I want Edge and Christian.
Yeah,
we have outside of a couple one-offs here and there in his last few months before he had to retire back in 2011.
Yeah.
And even then, it wasn't like it was Edge. It was Edge, Pause, and Christian, not Edge and Christian as a unit, like because they would come out separately and all that kind of. It wasn't the same. Like, so we haven't had an extended Edge and Christian reunion run since they broke up in 2001. Like, so, like that's all I care about. Like,
yeah, and look, the promo he cut about the matches and stuff. I'm not trying to make the direct comparison, but it was a lot like when Punk came back and he's like, I'm here to help the young guys. And I will like, that's all well and good. But like, also we've got a bunch of guys on the roster that are already doing that at this point. Like it's not, I don't know. It's just not that big of a deal to me that he's like, I want to work Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, cool. So does as every other ex WWE guy who comes in, you get a Powerhouse Hobbs match. Like, okay.
Next week on Title Tuesday, it's Chris Jericho versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Right. Like, okay, cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no. And, people are, it's just, like I said, the singles matches, I really don't care. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure they will be fine. But I've wanted this Edge and Christian run for years
20
now.
years.
Yeah, well,
since it ended.
And then, I thought we were going to maybe get it at that Royal Rumble, and then they never called Christian back, and, Yeah. I mean, if they do that, who knows where they're at, Edge is probably still there right now too. So it's, I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they don't take too long. It's tough though, because again, the way you're turning Edge heel to be with Christian isn't going to work.
Why wouldn't it? I mean,
because people don't want to boo him. Like, even though he had his...
You don't want to boo him.
No, because that's when they tried doing that when he started Judgment Day. Like, people, because of how he had to miss those years, like, people just don't want to boo him. Like, maybe he can get back to that point. But that's not the Edge of... Like, to get to that point, that's not the Edge and Christian I want to see. Like, he'd have to be, like... I want to see goofy 5-second pose Edge and Christian. I don't want to see like dastardly, like evil.
See, I think it could work where you started out as it's too late now, but you could have started it out as that, and then as they start to wind down the heel run, they start to make that transition, and then it's also about in line of when they can both retire together and all that.
Right. But I think regardless, I don't think even like coming right in, like I don't think people were going to boo him. And then but and then like we've said, like you can't necessarily reverse course on Christian right now. You know, he. I mean, I guess you can. It's wrestling. Like no one can. No one cares.
Yeah,
MJF is the biggest babyface in the company right now. Like,
right.
but
And they've tried everything to make people hate him. So
yeah. So I don't know. I just hope, like you said, I hope they don't make us wait for what we want for too long. Um, I'm sure we're gonna get a match between the two at Full
yep.
Gear, which is fine. You know, I got to thinking about it. We haven't had one of those in 20 years either. I think they, they feuded right after they split in '01, and I think they had like a random, like one-on-one match on a Raw in like 2004 or something like
Okay.
that. From what I can remember. But they never went back to that as a feud, an extended feud or anything like that. So like I said, for Full Gear, that's a fine match, I would think. But yeah, I hope by year's end we're in and we can get to some of these tag team dream matches against FTR and the Bucks and whoever else.
I mean, Matt and Jeff are still there. You're going to have to run it
You're
one
gonna have
more
to
time.
do that one more time, even though it's gonna suck. But like, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
you got rock and roll and midnights like for
yeah,
one more time.
exactly,
You gotta throw it out
exactly.
there.
If they can find a suitable third, like again, if they can lean into like the goofier side of them, like a trios match with those two and another partner against the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, I think that could be pretty fun. Um, but but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So
Yeah, I think that the only two things I'm kind of focused on are I wonder how he's going to handle working with people that have not been trained WWE style. And this might be a little inside baseball, but he spent basically his entire career in the WWE ring. They work a little different now. I wonder if that's going to lead to some awkwardness, like especially when he was like, "I want to face Okada." Like, I don't know that you know that you're on Okada's level. Like, it would be a cool match, but I don't know that he wants that kind of Okada match, the physicality and stuff. You know what I mean? Especially at his age. And that brings me to the other thing is if he's going to be working full time. I wonder how long he's going to hold up.
I think he's gonna be a character full time. I think he's gonna be like Christian. Like Christian's on TV pretty much every week, but he only wrestles once or twice a month. I think that's what we're. I think that's what he means by
I
full
hope
time.
so. I hope so because I don't know. I just got a feeling if he tries to do a full, even like when Brian is healthy or when Punk was around, like that. Hey, I'm working 3 out of every 4 weeks. It doesn't matter. It can be a blow off match, but I'm going to be in that ring. Um, I don't know if it'll hold up because he's had problems ever since he's come back.
He's had problems his entire career. Like
Right.
I love the guy, but I mean,
He's the
facts are
Jamal
facts.
Adams of pro wrestling, made out of glass.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the segment last night. Especially the if you could the international unedited version was on Twitter like immediately. So that was I.
So good.
So I don't know if it's because of they had to run that Adam Cole vignette twice because TBS messed up the video or the audio on it. I don't know if you heard about that. Um, there was
Literally, the only thing I watched from Dynamite was Copeland's segment.
So they ran this vignette with Adam Cole, Roddy, and the Kingdom, where Roddy had called Adam and said he needed him to come over. It was an emergency, and so Adam went over there, and he comes in and he's like, Roddy's in a wheelchair and he's got like one of those scooters that people with broken foots or whatever use. You put your
Yeah.
knee on it, you can get around, and he had it underneath a sheet, and so he was like, here, I got you this, so we both can be on wheels. And so they started like running around, rolling around Roddy's house, and he's like, "Well, actually, the real reason I need you to help me move some furniture." And he's like, "Roddy, I need to get my ankle is broken. I need to get surgery." And so they basically like guilted him into helping them move some furniture and stuff with his broken ankle. And yeah, it wasn't the best, but it would have been better had I not had to watch it without sound the first time. And then they're like, yeah, we understand there were some technical difficulties, so here's the segment again.
Jeez. I wonder whose match got cut.
Well, so there was an overrun is what happened. I don't know if it was a planned overrun, but there was an overrun. So my DVR cut off right as Christian's music hit to come out for that segment. So
oh, really?
I didn't. I mean, I found it real quick. Like I said, online afterwards. But yeah, Christian's music hit, and he like came to out of the tunnel onto the top of the ramp, and then it cut off. And I'm like, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but
great ending.
Yes.
Great ending.
Yes.
Perfect use of being able to get away with using that word on a delay.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, and really sends it home that he's not interested at all. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I love it. It was good. It was really well done.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean that was pretty much it from there. What real quick, just we both watched Wrestle Dream. We had the same thought. It was a pretty good show. Matches were all really good, but that's never the problem with AEW.
Yep.
So,
yep.
But I thought
the problem is, never mind. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say to me the two standouts were obviously Brian and Zack Sabre, and I thought Hangman and Swerve just killed it. So
yeah, Hangman and Swerve would have been the match of the night if it weren't for Brian and Zack. Like,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
match lived up to everything. I've wanted that match for years. It lived up to everything I was hoping from it. Like, I'm glad Brian got that one out of the way. It sounds like they're going to do another one or two, but I'm glad that they at least got the one.
Yes,
I'm never going to be like, I wonder what it would have been like. So
well, and I hope they don't. Going back to the Adam and Christian conversation, like they've had this problem, and I understand the thought process, but they've had this problem where they feel like they have more time than what they actually do with some of these matches, and they don't pull the trigger on it because it's like, well, we'll get to it eventually, and then something happens, whether it be a person leaving or a person getting hurt or whatever the case may be, and then you can't
throwing the company under the bus and get suspended for 9 months. Yeah,
sure, that but yeah, I mean, so there's these things that they could have, should have, would have done, but they would decide to wait, and it's like might not want to do that. So again,
right,
hopefully they get to this sooner rather than later. So
yep.
What else? This weekend there's a WWE PLE Fastlane live from Indianapolis, Indiana. It should be a good show though.
I meant Indiana. I didn't mean the show. I wasn't pooping on the card. Sorry.
We've so I think there's only 5 matches announced right now, and
sure,
3 of them are tag matches.
Yeah, Tag Wars.
Yeah,
2023.
Yeah, let's go. The world title match, they're running the Rollins and Nakamura back, which I'm fine with, but they're doing last man standing, which I'm not fine with. It's one of my least favorite stipulations, but yeah, I mean, this has got to be the end of this feud here.
No, this is where Priest cashes in. It's got to be.
I would hope
this is going to be the move.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, this has got to be, because Judgment Day's in the building, right? They've got.
They are defending the tag titles against Cody and main event Jey Uso.
Yeah, it's got to be, because then because Dom got the belt back, right?
Yes. Dom got the
Yeah.
belt
So,
back on
and
Tuesday.
they're clearly building towards War Games at Survivor Series. So Priest gets the big belt. They're all wearing gold heading into the War Games match.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So yeah, like I said, Judgment Day defending the tag team titles against Cody Rhodes and main event Jey Uso. We've got a triple threat for the women's title with Io, Asuka, and Charlotte. And then there's a trios match of what I'm advocating for them to be called the Almighty Prophets. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits against the LWO, which is going to be Ray, Santos, and I'm thinking it's either going to be Dragon Lee or Carlito.
Oh, I could see that.
Because I don't think you're going to... Nothing against Joaquin Wild or... Is it Cruz del Toro? I think that's the other guy's name.
Yeah, you're talking at a different level of star power.
Yeah, like Dragon Lee, he was in the crowd on Friday during that whole thing, and they've been featuring him in the crowd and on main roster TV the last few weeks. So I could see it being him. And then the rumor is that Carlito has been signed for a while now. They've just been waiting.
Since Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So they've just been kind of waiting to bring him back to TV. So that would be a good spot for it too. So yeah, there's that, and then what I imagine will be the main event is Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso versus the team of John Cena and LA Knight.
I've started referring to Jimmy as curtain jerker Jimmy Uso because of his brother's main event.
Yes.
He's got to be the next best thing, right?
Yes. So I don't like how we got here, but I'm actually liking what they're doing with Jimmy right now. Like this whole, he's acting like he's in charge of the bloodline because Roman's not around. It's actually kind of funny, but if it would be great if they hadn't, if you could forget the fact that he was like out of the bloodline like a month, 2 months ago.
Look, man, I don't. I heard Neck Tattoo say something about we're not in the third inning anymore. This game's an extra. This is an extra innings as far as I'm concerned at this point, and I just want this game to be over.
Please, God.
Everything after Mania has been absolute dog shit, and it's just getting progressively worse. And like on a surface level, it makes no difference whether you call him main event Jey Uso or not. You blew your shot on it months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever. I didn't read somewhere like the Raw ratings have, since he's been one of the featured guys. The Raw ratings have been like some of the lowest of all time, and I know they're gonna blame, Monday Night Football and all that stuff. But if you had a draw on there, Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't have a hard time competing with Monday Night Football.
Right. I haven't really, I don't keep up with the rating talk, so I don't know. The only thing
I read Ciampa was in a match that was the lowest rated Raw episode ever. Like.
Yeah,
okay.
A couple weeks ago, it was like a 6-man or something like that.
Yeah.
No, the only thing I've heard is that they're really happy with Jay, right? Because he is whatever. The crowd is into him. Well, I'll just put it like that. So, anyways, but yeah, I'll try and I'll probably have this on the iPad while I watch the Michigan game on Saturday evening.
Oh, it's a Saturday show?
Yeah. I mean,
that's nice.
All their pre-LEs pretty much are Saturdays now, except for when they do WrestleMania and 2 nights. But
Yeah.
Everything's on Saturdays now. So
Nice. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll see what I'm doing.
so I caught a little bit of the NXT one last Saturday, and what I saw was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, they seem to be doing okay right now. So good for them.
Who, WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. Got
I
the
sincerely hope I sincerely hope NXT loses the ratings again next Tuesday, though. It would just be funnier than shit if it happened.
It would be, but I mean, again, you can't compare nights, I guess, and blah blah blah. But as far as total viewers, NXT outdrew Dynamite this week.
That's a different night of the week.
Yeah, I know. It's just that hasn't happened in any capacity in a long time. So, we'll see.
Really?
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. Because AEW, they've got a decent show, and NXT called.
See, that's what I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and NXT called in all the favors, and they got Cena and Cody and Asuka and Heyman, and so we'll see.
Yeah, I think the right word. You said AEW's got a decent show. If that's their counter programming, like, cool, but I don't think it's a big enough show if you want to, well, I'm not going to stand for this shit anymore. Like,
right.
If that's how you feel, like, you got to book a better show than that. I'm sorry. But MJF should be wrestling on that show if you're trying to be, to just send a message like, okay, you want to bring your big guns in? I can still compete. Like, we can do a head-to-head.
It's because the fact that they're quote unquote encroaching on NXT's not like. I think it'd be different if it was the reverse and NXT was having to be on Wednesday for the week.
A wise man once said, if you want to win in business, you got to use ruthless aggression. Like, True. Who gives a shit? You got forced to their night, just let them know, hey, we're still here.
Right.
But, I mean, Brian and Swerve, it's going to be a great match. I hate that they're doing it, though. I absolutely hate that they're doing it. Both of those guys just came off big wins at the pay-per-view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they fighting to get a shot at the third most prestigious title in the brand? Like, come on. Because one of them has to take the L here, and the winner doesn't really get anything of importance.
Right. And, like, it's like, Swerve should probably win.
Right.
And Swerve and Christian, like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's definitely on paper. I'm excited to see the match, but yeah, it's one of those that should probably be. But again, I guess when you can do it, do it. I don't know.
I would have made it for the stakes for something more important.
Sure.
Or God, I don't know. Because they can't seem to get anything to go their way for a long period of time. Like, I'm so frustrated. I think I kind of summed it up in my head earlier today. Like, my biggest frustration with the company is I'm so tired of not seeing things come to a conclusion that right. I just don't care to watch anymore.
Right.
We never got Undisputed Era versus the Elite.
Right.
Like, obviously all the CM Punk possibilities have flown out the window that I was excited for. It's just they recycle the same storylines all the time, and they never pay off the ones that look interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Guevara left Chris Jericho for what? To become a henchman in another organization? Mm-hmm. He's always going to be the number 2 to Will Ospreay. Doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
Powerhouse Hobbs is back. Oh, he's the muscle in another faction. Man, haven't seen him do that 2 other times already. Like, and all of that is going to end up in a crappy storyline culminating, and the stuff that we're actually interested in never comes to fruition.
Right.
Where the hell were the Elite last night when Kenny was taped up on the ropes.
Hangman wasn't there.
The Bucks were in the building because Nick wrestled the opening match.
How did they explained it? Like, I think they said Nick had to have. They did their best to explain it, but yeah, it wasn't great. Like he had to go get looked at a medical facility or something stupid like that, and Matt went with him.
Sure,
but
again, okay,
sure. No, trust me, I get it. There's for all these people they bring in to help with the Jimmy Jacobs and stuff like that. Like it seems to get worse as far as like thinking like things through and like coming up with logical reasons why so and so wasn't helping so and so.
And it's not even just the storylines. It's things like, oh man, Pac is back. Man, remember how good Pac is when he's healthy and he can go. Pac's on a run. Oh, he's out for another 8 weeks. He tore something. It's just like
there's a large portion of this that just isn't their. It's not their fault. Like they just can't catch a break. But at the same time, that means that the stuff that you can control, you need to do a better job of to make up for that.
Right. Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to rag on it too much. Move along.
Sure. Come see us at Collision in a couple weeks in Toledo.
Dude, I think I might wear my Macho Man costume.
There you go.
I have like, man, I am not interested in going to this show at all. Like, if it weren't just because I want to go watch wrestling with you,
right?
Because like, who knows the next time we're going to be able to do it? We always say, wouldn't it be great if they'd come to Toledo? Like, I want to make sure there's a crowd.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for this show at all, dude. I'm telling you, they updated all the rosters and banners for all the shows around the Toledo one, and then front and center for the Toledo show is still that jerk off Jay White, like the guy I hate. I have zero interest in watching. It's gonna be the focal point of the show.
As long as the rest of the Bang Bang Gang is there, though, I'll be happy.
But the Bang Bang Gang's beauty is when the stuff you pick up at home, we're not going to be able to hear what they're yelling into the camera and stuff like that.
He's God
damn. What?
You didn't see it.
What did Juice do that is got you dying like this?
So MJF called him a taint.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then he goes, "I've got a rock hard taint."
Yeah. No, I just like the whole reason we talked about this the whole reason I bought tickets is because I wanted to see Punk,
right?
And he's not there again, so like
I feel like I jinxed it.
No, the company jinxed it. Well, they did it to themselves.
Sure,
they did it to themselves.
But I feel like 3% responsible.
Because like now I just want to take signs and say I paid to see CM Punk, but I know they're going to confiscate it as soon as or TK fears Phil Brooks. Like I just want to go and troll the company now.
Yeah.
I don't even want to go and be like, this is great. So I figure if I wear my Macho Man get up, I'll just stand there and I won't be in such a bad mood.
Yeah. No, like I'm not as bad, but I'm there with you because when we went to Dynamite last year, Adam was hurt. Adam Cole was hurt, and now he's hurt again. And there's no guarantee he was going to be there anyway, but now he's not going to be there. And yeah, I'm sure Brian and Mr. Copeland are like, yeah, send me to Toledo.
Yeah, I can't wait to go eat the chili dogs at Tony Paco's.
So yeah, we'll see though. We'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us.
I'm not getting my hopes up.
I'm not either. We'll see. I mean, we'll see after Dynamite next week, see what they have announced, and then I'll go from there. So
Maybe they'll do like because they tape ROH. Maybe they'll throw like a match out there that we're not expecting. But
yeah,
I'm not. I don't know. I'm not so giddy about this one.
yeah,
And
no,
I'm sure it'll be a solid show. It won't suck, but it's gonna be the guys I wanted to see aren't here.
right, exactly. It's it'll be we probably could have just gotten cheap seats and been fine.
Yeah, yeah. But when they announced it, I was like, oh man, I want to
Yeah.
be close.
Yeah. What do you do? Card subject to change, Matt.
Yeah, story of my freaking life. Our Seattle correspondent, Mr. Matt Manty, went to the
Yes.
collision show the night before Wrestle Dream, and he said it was a solid show, good time. He didn't recognize the guys at FTR were wrestling that night.
Who did they wrestle? Was that the week they wrestled? No,
the
that was the
big
8-man.
dudes. Yeah, yeah.
They wrestled.
He
Yeah,
didn't recognize them, so he was a little confused on what they were, because he's not an every week viewer.
Was it Big Bill and Ricky? What was that
No,
match? It was them, Brian, and that's gonna bug me now. It was an 8-man. I know that. It was them, Brian, and somebody versus.
yeah. See, clearly, it's not someone who's overly featured on the show. Was the point of it? But he said other than that, it was a good time. A couple of the matches were not great. He said the crowd really petered out during the Ring of Honor taping, and he said like what was interesting to him, and he noticed was people around him had no idea that like Seth Rollins wrestled in Ring of Honor and was a champion there, and had no idea that like how many top guys in WWE started in Ring of Honor or got their first real exposure in Ring of Honor. And he said it kind of opened his eyes that like they're not using the library and the name as well as they could to really let people know why you should pay it to like why it matters who the Ring of Honor pure champion is.
Right.
That Bryan Danielson held that belt, but so did a couple other guys you might recognize on WWE TV, and that was his kind of big takeaway. But he said it was a good time, so that gave me a little reassurance,
Yeah. So it was the match was FTR, Bryan, and Yuta versus Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and Aussie Open.
Maybe it was someone else, then, because maybe I misunderstood who he didn't recognize, because I remember saying Aussie Open and he knew who they were.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it was someone else on the show. I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure it'll be people. There's a lot of people who even after Punk's been gone that Collision is still their favorite show out of all of them. So I don't watch it a lot of weeks because it's on Saturday night and I'm usually doing other things, or I've spent 3.5 hours earlier in the day watching a Michigan game, so then I'm not gonna go, hey honey, I'm gonna watch a 2-hour wrestling show too. So
I'd almost argue the wrestling show is better than the Michigan games right now, but
well, sure. But speaking of football, our Lions are rolling.
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh man.
We woke the kids up at least 3 times cheering their name. Holly was screaming at like 11:30 at night. She was going nuts. I'm like, that's right.
That's awesome.
I corrupted her. She is in. She is all in.
That's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun watching football with her.
Yeah, I bet. That's
and dude, she how we always call her the wrestling barometer because she notices things that like how did you pick up on that?
Yeah.
She's starting to do it with football. She's starting to pick up on things like So that's why they're doing it like this. And yes, that's what, because they don't know. They've never put Aiden Hutchinson in the middle of the line before. So they didn't know what the hell he was gonna do. And he just keeps getting to the quarterback. Like, it's fun watching her pick it up, you know.
Right. You should really put this to the test. Have her pick out some like same game parlays.
What are you doing to me? Have you seen that episode of The Simpsons where
No.
Lisa is a there's an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa is like brilliant at picking sports bets, and the only time Homer wants to hang out with her is when she's making him money. And as soon as you said them, like, I'm only gonna want to watch football to capitalize on her ability to win me money. That's awful.
Uh, but no, yeah, the game. So we haven't talked. We haven't done this since after. It was the week after the Kansas City game, heading into the Seattle game.
Yeah.
So we've missed. We haven't talked on here the whole roller coaster that was those 2 weeks in between the Thursday night games.
Oh God.
Because you went to the Seattle game.
No, I went to the Atlanta
you
game.
went to the Atlanta game. So yeah,
Yeah.
the Seattle game was the week after the Kansas City game, week 2, and they lose in the shootout in the overtime. And we were texting all week during that week, and people were just, you turn on the radio and people were like, the sky was falling, and I'm like, I was preaching patience, and
You can say that all you want, but you also know that, like, how many times has that franchise done something like that where it's like, this is the biggest win, or the biggest, we've got a chance to do something incredible here, and they almost get there, and then something catastrophic happens, and you're just like, all right, well, no big deal, we'll bounce back. But that's the first domino. And that's what that Seattle game felt like to a lot of people, because a bunch of people got hurt in that game too. We were going to be going up against a team that was 2-0, that was running all over everybody. The last team that we played that ran the football really well, ran the ball for 300 and some yards. Like, there was a lot of reasons to be like, oh my God, like, what happens if? Because if they lose that game, then they got to go on the road to Lambeau on a short week. And that's where Lions, I understood. I was, partially there. I don't think I was as bad as some people, but I was like, man, they better win Sunday, because they're going to be on the path down real quick if they don't pull that one out.
sure, I thought a lot of it was just like, I don't know. There are things in sports sometimes that there just can't, like, a team like the Rams. They couldn't beat Shanahan's 49ers. Even the year they went to the Super Bowl, like, they could not beat Shanahan's 49ers. It's just whatever it is. And I have a feeling, and hopefully if we meet in the playoffs, there's a different story, but it just seems like Seattle's that team for us right now, where we just can't, for whatever reason, just can't get over and beat them. So, but yeah, but they came back the following week, and it was like, oh, that's a nice run game you got there, Atlanta. Sorry about it.
Yeah, there was never a point in that game where they felt threatening at all.
Mm-mm.
There was never a point where, in the stadium, where, like, you could feel they're like, oh, they're putting a drive together here. It never got to that point. That was dominating physical defense.
And then, speaking of dominate, like, last Thursday, that might have been the greatest half of Lions football I've ever watched.
The one that came to my mind, and I don't even know if you'd call it a half, because it was just the fourth quarter when they scored those 28 or 31 points in the fourth quarter to come back and beat the Bears that won. It might have been 15 years ago now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one that always stuck out. Like, I've never seen them play a half of football that good in my life
Yeah.
until Thursday night. That first half was, I mean, pure. That was video game type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and so now, yeah, we're 3-1. Got control of the division. Got a winnable game this week against Carolina.
A winless team on the road coming into a madhouse. Dude, Ford Field, it's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's so loud in that
And it's
place.
only going to get louder as the season goes on if they keep winning.
I'm going to the Monday night game. Like, dude, I cannot wait to be like everyone's gonna be day drinking. That place is gonna be rowdy. It's gonna be crazy. The Raiders are gonna be in town. It's
The
that
Raiders
decibel record
stink.
and the Raiders stink.
They're dead.
The buzz, like Bryce Young coming into Ford Field, I think is going to be a disaster. Lions are like -9.5. Get, I'm there. This should be dominating.
It should be
Sunday.
And you'd hope that, and again, you would have thought that about the Seattle game too, and that didn't really work out. But you'd hope that the way that the game late last season went, and that's the game. Like the Bills, the Bills game against Thanksgiving, yeah, they had a chance to win that game, but it's the Bills. Like you kind of just chalk it up. That's the Carolina game on Christmas Eve is the one where it's like they just didn't. The defense just didn't show up that day, and that was the only. Yeah. That was the only game in that finishing stretch of last season because defense improved a lot once they started getting on their role at the end of the season there.
Once they fired Aubrey Pleasant, that was it. That was the change.
So you'd hope that they're like, okay, that's not going to happen again. They're number 1 in run defense through 4 games, and it's one of those things where you try not to get too hyped about stuff like that because it has only been 4 games, but still, like compared to where they were last year to now, they're not just a better run defensive team, they're the best run defensive team, and if you can stop the run and you can run the ball, like you're going to win a lot of games.
Well, especially, and this is one of the things I've been talking about with the wife, is like the Lions are built to be the counter to what the rest of the league is trying to play defense for. The rest of the league has been loading up on a nickel and a 4 cornerback set to stop some of these, the Buffaloes and the Kansas Cities of the world, and these offenses that are high powered. They've been built to stop that, and the Lions are kind of built to wear you down and run in the trenches if they need to, and make you play that gritty football, but we can still open it up.
Yeah.
We've got playmakers downfield. So if we get a lead, we're just going to grind you into the ground. And I feel like that's what Sunday's going to be. They're going to get up a score or two, and then they're going to lean heavy on the run game because why put J-Mo out there and expose what he's going to be if you're already up a couple scores on a team that ain't that good? Why expose Jahmyr Gibbs and what we're going to use him for against this team? I think the week after, especially Tampa coming off of a bye at home, wanting to prove that they're no joke, that's going to be where you see the tricks all come out, and the Lions are going to try to have something in their back pocket for that game.
Yeah. Baker's playing well, so that'll be a really good game, and they flexed that game out to the 4:00 window, so
yeah,
that's good.
It's gonna be the national game of the week.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the day after that game last week, the NFL's like, so we're adjusting the punishments for these gambling stuff. So by the way, J-Mo, you can come back 2 weeks early.
Yep.
So, and that's just I just hope like he can do something, because it hasn't been looking good aside from the suspension and stuff. Like He didn't really play well in training camp either, like against the twos even.
Yeah.
So I hope he's got his head on and is ready to go to work, and because if he can be even like 75% of what we thought he was going to be when we drafted him, adding that to what they already got right now is just going to be
right.
amazing.
Right, but the thing that's encouraging to me is the guys around him have all said that like he fits right in with the offense. That there's not an issue with him getting to know the playbook and stuff like that. It's what the coaches think he knows, thinks he's ready for, and hopefully they're not just blowing smoke and they're not just trying to support somebody that they know isn't ready.
It
But
sounds
I
like
think that team is I think that team has proven that they don't put people on the field until they're ready.
Right. Sounded like Campbell had some concerns. He said something about making sure he runs the right route so
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, if he can just be 75% with Laporta and St. Brown and Reynolds and Gibbs and Montgomery, like they'll be all right.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if he serves as the Deshaun Jackson role, where it's like he draws a defender every time, just because if we don't keep up with him, he's going to burn past us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it opens up more space for Reynolds, especially. Uh, I just love his connection with Goff.
Mm-hmm.
Goff is clearly like he likes throwing to Josh, so like I keep feeding him. He's got a nice frame on him. Like
He made a
he's
couple
reliable.
of insane catches in that Packers game. The
Right,
one-handed
like
one.
the one hand, yeah. Like I was bummed when DJ Chark left, but if Reynolds can slide into that number 2, number 3, him and JMO switching back, and Laporta looks like he's going to be an absolute monster. They're going to be so hard to stop on offense.
The best part about JMO coming back is that means Marvin Jones should not see the field again.
Right, because Khalif can slide in and be that fourth wide. I love the way they use Khalif Raymond too.
Yeah, I do too.
He was a budget baller for me on Madden for a lot of years. Like in my franchise modes, I always had to go get Khalif Raymond, and then he's been great since they picked him up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on defense, sounds like Mosley should play this week.
Yeah, Branch hasn't practiced, but I'm wondering if they're like, let's just give him a week off.
Yeah. If he doesn't play, I mean, if you get Mosley back, that means Jacobs can slide and play the nickel then. If Branch doesn't play.
Well, Joe Kirby's supposed to be back too.
Right.
Which means Tracy Walker would be available too.
No, well, because Tracy's playing for.
Oh yeah, because he would be. Yeah, he's got to replace CJ. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And dude, Tracy, man, like he's. It sucks that he was kind of the odd man out when they signed CJ and drafted Branch, but like he stepped right back up into where he had the hit in the Atlanta game where he separated the ball from the receiver to cause an incompletion, and then on that I texted you about it last week. He laid a dude out on the first Jerry Jacobs interception when after the tip, he just laid out the intended receiver. Oh, ball's in the air, boom! So he's laying the wood to people. So
yeah, I think one of my favorite things about this team this year is they've gotten a lot of contributions from guys who weren't supposed to be in the spots they're in right now. You just mentioned Tracy. We drafted a middle linebacker with the 18th pick in the draft. Most teams, that kid is starting right now. Alex Anzalone beat him out, and Anzalone's been playing incredible.
Mm-hmm. What happened here?
This weekend is going to be what sort of decides, yes, this is a business that we want to have.
got some technical difficulties with Matt here. No, there's something else like coming through. I don't know what happened. Did your iPad or your AirPods die? I can hear you now. Did your things die? Oh. All right. Well, I guess we're just gonna end the show. I was gonna try and talk some Ahsoka with him with the finale, but we are not gonna end up getting to that. So I'll just sign off here, and we'll be back next week for Chris and Matt's whatever pot. Oh, here he's back. Hold on. Hello. I can hear you. I cannot see you. There we go. We're back. Holly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, because of what I like is a guy like Tracy who had to play so much when they were terrible. Now that they've got more talent, when one of those more talented guys goes down, he's got enough experience now to come in and play effectively. Yeah. He basically lost his spot because of injury, basically, is what happened.
Because odds are, like, they'd like to keep him, but if he's not happy about his playing time, he's not gonna want to stick around either.
Yeah.
And he's a good enough football player where, like, that's fair.
Yeah. Yep. So.
But there was two other people I wanted to point out real quick. Isaiah Buggs didn't get to play the first couple games because coaches said he hadn't worked it. Since he's come back, that Atlanta game he played great. Got a sack against Green Bay. He was all over the place in the interior vet line. And then Graham Glasgow lost out on the right guard position. Vaitai goes down, and he stepped right up, and that line. It's just like it's a testament to they talk about culture and things like that. It feels like that's actually where the guys are like, all right, now this is my turn to step up, and instead of being mad that they lost out, they're fighting harder to prove, hey, I deserve my time on the field.
Yeah, definitely. Real quick before we sign off, because I have it on the thumbnail. So real quick, we briefly texted about it last night, but the Ahsoka finale. I liked it. Like, it wasn't like a home run by any means. There were some people who were really dumping on it, and I just didn't see it. I thought it was fine. It's clearly like it's one of those, if they don't get a season 2, then it's going to be bad. But I assume they're going to get a season 2 to help propel the story to this super duper Mandoverse team up movie that they're supposed to eventually do. That I'm not pressed about it, about how many loose threads are still out there. So
I don't know. It's another one of these Star Wars shows where I'd argue a good third of the season was pointless and just kind of, I don't know, what they call self-serving Star Wars nostalgia, whatever. Maybe it's because I'm not as big into the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that stuff that I'm not as impressed with this whole Thrawn thing. And obviously, knowing in the future he's not around, at least that they've introduced, unless they're just going to try to somehow combine this universe, bring them all together. But I don't know how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like it all feels so disconnected that maybe when the picture is done being painted, it fits in nicely. But right now, that one and even the Obi-Wan show to me were just kind of like they're nice little Star Wars stories, but I don't think they're that memorable outside of a few moments.
Yeah. No, so yeah, the main thing I saw people complaining about was the fact that Balin and Shin weren't in the
Yeah.
finale. And my thing was, I think a lot of that, especially with Balin, I think some of that is people knowing that Ray Stevenson passed away. So whether the character comes back or not, he that portrayal of the character won't be back. So I think that had a lot of people. I think had that not happened, I don't think people would be. My thing was like, for the finale, like, you needed to spend the time on Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra trying to stop Thrawn from escaping back to our galaxy. Like, that needed to be, and I think had they taken a large portion of time, or even not like a sizable enough portion of time away from that, I think people would have been complaining the other way. So, and like, again, clearly it's, with him and Sabine, she looks like she's gonna, or not Sabine, Shin, she looks like she's gonna take over those scavengers or whatever they were. They're
Enoki or whatever.
No, not the turtle people that Ezra was hanging out with.
Oh no, Brent. Yeah. Sabine and
yeah.
She held the lightsaber up and yeah.
So she's gonna.
Well, and like I texted you, I like that they've established that Ahsoka is out there, and there are people who know how to get to her if necessary. But they also can't. They don't know exactly how to do it again. They have to figure it out. Another search for a lost Jedi.
Right.
Where have I heard that one before? But,
sure.
But for me, it was, and I texted you this too. It was a lot of really like just convenient like ways of space whales and zombie troopers.
Those zombie troopers are sweet.
And witches. And it's just like, oh, come on, like.
I know, but it's all stuff that's
we're doing a little much here.
It's
like
all stuff that's
I
been
get
part of the canon, though, so it's not like it's something.
I know, but it's this is where it gets to like, can we just get back to basic, basic good storytelling? Why do we have to? And then there's these group of witches that come in and they can do this, but they are countered by these people. Yeah, it's just like it's like a bloated wrestling roster. Or it's like you got too much going on to get to the core of just producing good content.
Yeah. See, I'm fine because I find that because I'm so critical with my wrestling that all the other like stuff, like MCU and Star Wars and stuff, I'm a lot more lenient because it's like I can't if I hold everything to hold the same microscope up to everything that I enjoy like I do with wrestling, like I'd drive myself nuts. So generally with this stuff, I just go with.
You drive yourself crazy.
I would, thinking of you. I would just, so I just go into it with the mindset that I'm going to enjoy this, and usually it works. So. Does. The power of positivity, Matt.
Okay. There was a joke in there, but I'm keeping it to myself. Speaking of NSYNC, what'd you think of the new single?
It's good.
Yeah, it's like a B minus to me. Yeah. It's solid, but it's not like it wasn't like when Suit and Tie came out and you're like, oh, that's a hit.
Yeah. No. It's fine. So we'll just see what happens now.
Yeah, but just got to get this actors strike over, and then sounds like they got some serious shit planned. So
we will see. Have to do with that, like.
So there's still not, because I think Justin and one of the other, it might be Lance or Joey. One of them it's got to be Joey because he's on like TV shows and stuff. They're part of the Actors Guild,
right?
So they're forbidden from advertising anything that might be connected to what is considered
Sure.
struck work.
Sure.
The song is so tied into what they're doing, I'm guessing around the Trolls movie,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't want to violate the SAG strike. So they're waiting until it's over so that they can really start to promote the song and what's going to be connected to it, which some people think is going to be like a tour. There's going to be a residency somewhere. There's rumblings. They were supposed to perform at the VMAs instead of just hand out that award. They had negotiated to perform, and then the strike happened, and they've talked about it in interviews. So they clearly weren't doing all that just to come back with one single for a kids movie and then go away for 20 years again.
Sure. I guess I would just argue, if you're going to announce the tour, just announce the tour. People don't give a like people. I don't know. It just seems backwards.
Right.
Like, you could have announced, like, it wouldn't matter if you had the song or not. Like, if you would have just announced an NSYNC reunion tour, people were going to go crazy for it.
Right, but I'm saying if there's contracts that have been negotiated and agreed to that tie into any of that to keep everybody happy, that could be why they're sticking so hard to it.
I guess.
And maybe they, I don't know all the ins and outs of how the strike is going on, but that's been the reasoning they've given. There might be some other reason, but I get what you're saying. The minute they say, "Hey, we're going back on tour," they're going to sell out every stadium they want to go to.
Yeah. So that's a Ford Field one, right? If they do a tour.
Absolutely. It'll be Taylor Swift, Beyonce levels of it would be multiple dates in the city sort of thing, I would expect.
You would think.
Unless unless they do a residency because they have families and stuff like that. But the amount of shows you'd have to sell out to beat a one summer stadium tour, like it wouldn't be worth it.
Just bring the kids along, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want me to go on tour, Jessica? You want me to go literally make $300 million in 6 months? Shut up.
Yeah. But all right, we should wrap up and get out of here. So yeah. So subscribe to the channel here at musicandmoonsalts.com. Leave a thumbs up here on this video, and we'll be back next week, I guess. All things go well. I don't see a reason why we won't be. To talk about whatever. Hopefully talk about another Lions victory.
Go Lions! I got to teach her. She refuses to learn the fight song.
Blasphemy.
Baby steps. I'll get her there.
Baby steps. All right. Until next week. See ya.